What's up guys, we're back with another tournament replay, and this time we're using Shell Smash Dwebble. And you might recognize my team. My team is actually a very famous team that uses Stealth Rock and Spike's Dwebble, but instead I've changed that for Shell Smash Dwebble for the surprise factor. And Shell Smash Dwebble is really dangerous because even though on paper it doesn't really break through a lot, in practice it becomes very deadly with that Berry Juice Sturdy combination, and it can sweep a lot of unprepared teams. So I was banking on that surprise factor when I used this team. And just going into the matchup right now, one thing you have to notice is that he's pretty weak to both Ponyta and Mudbray. So he doesn't have a fire resist for Ponyta. So that's obviously something I'm going to be looking out for. And similarly, he doesn't have a switch into Mudbray besides Grookey. And this is where, when you're using offensive teams like the one I'm using, you have to really look at something called dynamic synergy. That is synergy of your offense, like your tactical sequences. So for example, one tactical sequence that I have is that Mudbray can use, for example, Earthquake, and he doesn't have a switch into Earthquake, so he must go Grookey. And when he goes Grookey, I can use Grookey as an opportunity to go Ponyta. And he doesn't have a fire resist. So if I can create these Mudbray versus Grookey versus Ponyta situations, my Ponyta can cause lots of damage. So that's really going to be my main attacking goal right now, using Mudbray and Ponyta's dynamic synergy to try and attack. Because if you think about it, they don't have a lot of traditional synergy, right? They're both weak to water, they don't resist the other Pokemon. So there's nothing really synergetic if you think about it from a traditional fire, water, grass type synergy, but it has a lot of synergy. So that's basically going to be my game plan, trying to find ways to break open with Ponyta. So right now, I lead Staryu to anti-lead Poniard, because right now, he doesn't really have a switch-in to Staryu. Like, he basically zero switch-ins to Life Orb Staryu. And meanwhile, I want to try and deny Stealth Rock, so that means my Dwebble with Sturdy and Berry Juice does not have to worry about Stealth Rock. So that's basically my goal with leading Staryu right now. Hydro Pump does a lot of damage here. He uses Knockoff. And here it's a predict. If he Sucker Punches me and I attack, I die. But if I go Scraggy on a Sucker Punch, that's a Scraggy setup opportunity. So it becomes kind of like a predict here. And I make the prediction to stay in and Thunderbolt here. So I predicted he wouldn't Sucker Punch. That was my prediction here. And he goes to Timber right now. And now you can kind of see the problem with these offensive teams. It's very difficult to one-hit KO Timber. So I have to figure out a plan to actually break through Timber right now. If I can find a way to break through Timber, then I'm going to be in good shape. But it's going to be very difficult because I don't have anything that can actually one-hit KO the Timber. So here, I simply sacrifice Staryu to Mach Punch, and I go Mudbray here, and I make the strategic decisions. I Earthquake for 50, and then I lose my Choice Scarf. And this is a strategic decision. I've decided that my Mudbray's Choice Scarf is less valuable than getting 50 damage on Timber. That's the decision I've made right now. It's a strategic one, right? There's not obvious that this is a bad play or a good play. It's simply a play that I judge to be worth it, that his 50% on Timber was very valuable to me. And now it enters a very interesting situation, and that concept of dynamic synergy comes into play right now. If I Earthquake again, I can kill the Timber, so he will obviously go Grookey. But what if I use Grookey as an opportunity to go Ponyta? Ponyta doesn't really have a check on his team anymore. Timber is low, Coughing will get obliterated by high horsepower Flare Blitz, so it's not immediately obvious what he has to do. And at any time, I can predict the Grookey and use Heavy Slam on it, so it's really an uncomfortable situation with Mudbray right now for him. He goes to Grookey as I Earthquake here, and I do 23, not a lot, and now again, so I've created the situation I want. I want Mudbray versus Grookey because that gives me the switch into Ponyta. So that's what I do. I get the switch in Mudbray versus Grookey, and I go Ponyta, but he makes a really good play. My opponent does no pushover. He predicts my Ponyta and goes to his Mudbray right now. So a really good predict from my opponent's part, as he understood the situation just as well as I did, and he knew Ponyta would be a threat. So he switched Mudbray into the Ponyta, double switched. And typically when you see these type of cores of Poniard and Mudbray, it is typically Stealth Rock Poniard and Choice Scarf Mudbray. That's a very common core, but obviously it could be Stealth Rock Mudbray and, Choice Scarf Poniard, for example, right? There are a lot of options, but typically you will see Choice Scarf Mudbray. And when he went this ambitiously into Mudbray, it makes me think it's Choice Scarf to outspeed Ponyta. So now what I do is I simply go to Grookey here. And this was a bit of a predict. He could have Heavy Slammed, but I made the prediction here. And now he's in a tough spot right now, Grookey versus Mudbray. And remember earlier in the game I mentioned that my main attacking plan is going to be the Mudbray plus Ponyta synergy right now. So I make an aggressive play, he goes Coughing to switch into Grookey, but I make an aggressive play and I go to Mudbray. And now we repeat the same situation we had last time, where Grookey is in an uncomfortable position. If he goes Grookey, I can hit it with Heavy Slam, but if he stays in, I can hit it with High Horsepower. And it's a very difficult situation for my opponent. What is he supposed to do? Is he supposed to predict me to Heavy Slam here? That's a very bold prediction, because if you mess up that predict, like say for example, you predict Heavy Slam but I High Horsepower, now you just straight up lose to Grookey right now. So it's a very uncomfortable prediction to be making right now. He doesn't want to make that predict and he goes to Mudbray. And this is the first crack in the armor right now. His defensive core besides Ponyard was holding up with Grookey and Timber. It was getting whittled down, but he was still in the game. But this is the first real crack in the armor. We finally broken through. And the reason is because this damage does two things. One, it means that later in the game, if Ponyta can get a flame charge up, then Flare Blitz can kill Mudbray. Like if Mudbray was at 100%, Flare Blitz couldn't kill. But it also does a second thing. It puts Mudbray into range of Shell Smash Dwebble. Shell Smash Dwebble cannot one-hit KO Mudbray. It needs some sort of chip damage. So we've gotten the chip damage on Mudbray, and that benefits both our Ponyta and our Dwebble. And right now, we're breaking through with Mudbray and Ponyta, and he has to spend so many resources just dealing with these two Pokemon. And then on top of that, there is a Scraggy in the back waiting to Dragon Dance. There's a Dwebble in the back waiting to Shell Smash. So all this offensive power, and we finally got the crack we wanted, and now it's just about finishing it off using that crack we've gotten. So now we have Mudbray versus Mudbray. I do not want to lose my Mudbray, so I go to Grookey, and again, it's a predict. He could have Heavy Slam there, but I predicted he wouldn't. And now again, we keep hammering at that weakness. He goes Coughing, and again, we go Mudbray, we hammer at that weakness again. He is running out of options, and Mudbray is going to keep pounding and pounding and pounding, and something is going to take damage right now. And this is going exactly how we want to. We're focusing on the weak points, and we're inducing these cracks in the armor, and then we're going to be able to break through eventually. So now, he's still afraid of going Grookey on the Heavy Slam, and we're able to knock out the Timber. And this is important because Timber did have Mach Punch, which could be annoying for Scraggy and or Dwebble. So we're able to defeat the Timber like this, and now he goes to Grookey. And now it's a bit of a desperation mode right now. He needs to keep getting damage, but again, we have that Mudbray Ponyta synergy right now. If he uses a grass move and I go Ponyta, well, he's going to be even further down the hole. So he makes a U-turn play, and I don't switch out. And he goes to Coughing now, and we do hit him with the Heavy Slam. And the reason I didn't switch out was because I was okay with dying. Because say he used Grassy Glide and I died. Then I simply go to Ponyta next turn, I use Flame Charge, and he's just going to lose to Ponyta with that Flame Charge tempo. Because I have more speed, I outspeed Mudbray, I do a lot of damage to Coughing, I can remove Abra's Focus Sash. So I was okay with Mudbray dying here, and he had gotten desperate. He needed to make some sort of play, some sort of way to get out of the, bind he's gotten himself into. So he tried to make a play and U-turn, but that really wasn't a good enough play. And he goes Coughing here. And now I have a choice. I can High Horsepower or I can Heavy Slam. And we've got him on the ropes right now. He's been taking damage every single turn. He's been getting outplayed. And all this time, I've been clicking the super effective move. So now I decide, you know what, it's time to go for the kill. Let's go and finish him off. And I predict the Grookey this time. I use Heavy Slam predicting the Grookey, and we get the kill. We get the kill right here. And now it's completely over almost. He really has nothing to do right now. He goes to Abra, he uses Psychic, kills the Mudbray, but now Dwebble comes in, and Shell Smash Dwebble is going to crush it. And remember, that chip we got earlier on Mudbray right now, that chip is coming into play right now, because now we can one-hit KO the Mudbray. Without that chip damage, we couldn't do it. Now we get the chip damage here. He goes to Coughing here. We could knock off. And Rock Blast would have killed, but I didn't want to risk the miss, so that's why we didn't Rock Blast. But we knock off, we remove the Coughing, Shell Smash Dwebble is sweeping right now. We get the Earthquake off Coughing. He goes to Abra. And Rock Blast kills the Abra, but we don't want to risk missing, so we just knock off here. We're going to die to Psychic. But now Grookey can come in with Grassy Glide and simply win the game. And this is a really fun game that I had, and I really liked it because it showed how well offensive synergy between Ponyta and Mudbray can work and how you can just hammer through a defense. And yeah, if you like tournament replays like that, make sure to subscribe and comment down below what you want to see in the next video. Thank you.